Well, it feels like it's been a long time since I've said this, but welcome back to the FPL Today YouTube channel. I'm JNO, and today we are here to talk about Game Week 3, my team selection, and how I did in Game Week 2. We're also going to cover over some other games that I have been playing and how I've been doing in them, and also the players I'm looking to bring into my side for Game Week 3. And then on top of that, at the end of this video, I will just quickly talk about where I've been, why I didn't get a video last week, and how the channel is going to go moving forward. But that's for the end of the video, so right now, let me know in the comments down below how your Game Week 1 and Game Week 2 went. I'll try and reply to as many of the comments down below as possible. Hit that like button, and let's get straight into the video. So we start off with how I did in Game Week 2, and just for those that want to know, in Game Week 1 I did get 95 points, so I didn't quite hit the 100 club. But in Game Week 2 we started off with the defence managing to get a decent score from the likes of Trent and Tsimikas, who got 12 and 11 points each. Of course, with their great display going forward, getting assists and how well they played defensively, although to be fair, Burnley did manage to put the ball in the back of the net, but it was disallowed for offside. I'm quite happy with them, apart from the fact that, of course, Andrew Robertson is scheduled to be back anytime soon. Now, if he does play the Chelsea game to Tsimikas, at least that's another game I'll maybe get out of him. But to be fair, it's not the greatest of fixtures. So we will be looking probably to change to Tsimikas because he's definitely not nailed on, despite his impressive performances. In goal, we have Sanchez, who got the clean sheet we were hoping he'd get in Game Week 1, but he did manage to get it in Game Week 2, and we'll be sticking with him for the foreseeable future till we get to a wild card, because I don't want to be using transfers on my goalkeeping position. And then we have Shaw, who unfortunately Man United did concede to Southampton, and to be honest, they didn't impress me very much in that Southampton fixture. Although Pogba did definitely look good for parts of it, overall the team just didn't seem to gel. Now that could of course be something that does change very quickly. We're only 2 game weeks into the season, and we did of course just see them beat Leeds 5-1. Now the thing with Leeds is Leeds will play very open football, which gives the likes of Pogba, Bruno Fernandes space. Southampton were a lot more compact, and most teams will play this way against Man United. So I'm a bit worried that I have 3 Man United players in my side, but so far they have been returning points. The only one that hasn't been is Luke Shaw. If we do move on to the midfield, we can see that we had a great return from Mason Greenwood. He was the best Man United player for me, managing to get the goal for Man United off of a Paul Pogba assist. Paul Pogba being one of the players that has jumped onto my shortlist, and if he can keep it up, could be a nice, not straight replacement for, but could take the Bruno Fernandes spot, so I have more money elsewhere to spend on the plethora of striker options we suddenly have in FPL. But Greenwood was definitely impressive. That's 2 returns for him, so I'm not going to get him out the side. I'm going to try this season to focus on transferring out players I'm not happy with for players that I really want to get into the team. Of course, that's not always going to be possible, but that's what I'm going to try and focus on, especially at the start of the season. I'm going to try and not overthink everything and make too many changes and lose out on points for players that I've taken out. Rafinha and Mahrez also got returns. Rafinha with a great finish from outside the box, and I'm happy with him staying in the side for now. He didn't look great in the Man United game, but he did look good in this one. And Mahrez, of course, coming off the bench to get a return. Mahrez is someone that I was only going to keep hold of for the short term. He was a way of me having money in a player that I could transfer down to get money elsewhere to potentially spend on forwards and the like. So the fact that Mahrez didn't start in the fixture that I really wanted him to start in makes him more of an easy transfer for me. Then we had the disappointments of the captain and the vice-captain. Salah didn't get a return, although he did put the ball in the back of the net, but it was disallowed for offside. Salah did look decent, Liverpool looked decent, but at times Burnley did look like they could get something out of that game. But so far, Liverpool have kept 2 clean sheets, and Salah did have a good first game week, so Salah will stay. Bruno Fernandes didn't look very involved in the Southampton game, unfortunately. Paul Pogba looked a better choice, but we probably won't be getting rid of Bruno Fernandes just yet, because of course, if I follow what I did last year, I'll be taking players out left, right and centre, and then the next game week they score points. So Bruno Fernandes is probably safe for a few more game weeks now. The reason he might not be safe is, of course, because of Sunday or the striker options we have. We then move up front where we do have Antonio, who got 16 points against Leicester. West Ham did go 1-0 up when Leicester had 11 men, but it was really when Leicester went down to 10, when Ayoze Perez got sent off, that suddenly West Ham dominated the game, and Antonio returned a massive haul, although it looked like for a while that he wasn't going to, because it was late in the game that he suddenly got all the returns. Ben Rama got the returns earlier and looked like the better pick at first, but Antonio with a massive score really justified me picking him over some of the other strikers in the game, not that I don't want them in my side. And then of course Tony, who has been a bit of a disappointment in 2 fixtures where potentially he could have got points, Arsenal and then of course Crystal Palace. He hasn't got any returns yet. However, his underlying stats aren't terrible, but the problem is with the likes of Dominic, Calvette, Lewin around, who I do want to get into the side, Tony needed to have a bit more of an impact sooner for him to really be safe in this team. Finally, we had the bench, and there's really not much to talk about here. White, of course, didn't play. Obafemi didn't get any points, and Marty didn't get any points because he played, but he was part of that drumming by West Ham, and still is, of course, the backup for Sanchez. That bench does look weak, but we'll see if I can hold on to my wild card for a little bit longer. So overall, we got 81 points for this game week. So put that on top of the 95 points. That's 2 pretty decent game weeks, giving me an overall rank of 253,646. My game week rank was actually 308,000-ish, give or take a few hundred. So it's not been a bad start to the season, and at this rank I'm definitely close enough to keep pushing forward and hopefully have a season similar to the seasons I was having before all this COVID stuff. We're also going to quickly talk about how I'm doing in Fanteam, and if you do want to join, there is still late registration for the season-long game. There will be a Champions League game coming up on Fanteam as well, and there is, of course, monster game week games where you can just play the game week like game week 3 and try and win some cash that way. If you want to join, use the link in the description down below. It does support the channel, and we have managed to get ourselves a rank currently of 2,776 out of 35,000. Now that does give us some profit. We're en route to make £25 out of this side as profit. Of course, there is the entry fee to get into the game, but at 2,776, I feel like I'm within touching distance of some decent money this season. So hopefully we don't mess about too much with this. The main differences in my side is, of course, Ilkay Gundogan, who did start but didn't get any returns. Did look dangerous on set pieces, so part of me is tempted to keep him around to see if he does get regular game time at Man City, because I think that's something we will need to figure out, because to me, Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool, probably the 3 teams that I need to have players from to do well this season. Greenwood, of course, doing well for me. Fernandes is there. We do have Ings in this side, of course, who has scored in the last 2 game weeks with a great bicycle kick in the game just gone. And our bench looks a little bit stronger because we at least have a playing bench in this game. So feeling good about how we started in Fanteam. And we're also playing Sun Dream Team, believe it or not. Despite the fact that I've been doing this for 6 years and I've got a lot on my plate already, I have pushed myself to play the Dream Team game as well. We're currently ranked 24,395th. I have no idea if that's good because I don't know how many teams are actually playing. I can't see where on the site it is. I am new to this game. But as you can see, we've gone quite Spurs heavy in this one, which did mean we got the Dele Alli points. We've got Mahrez points, Ings points, Cash points, Trent and Hugo Lloris. The reason for this is because, of course, Sun Dream Team does count other games outside of the Premier League, and Spurs have the most games this month. The transfers work different. I think you get them every month to use. So we've gone heavy on Spurs now, and then we'll get them out when we figure out which teams have good fixtures and a lot of fixtures in September. So back to FPL and back to the team selection for game week 3. And to be honest, not much has changed as far as the starting 11 because my bench is so terrible. So we won't dwell on it too much. But we are looking at Sanchez, Trent and Shaw keeping their places. And I'm tempted to take a punt on Amati. Now, Leicester didn't look good against West Ham. And Amati hasn't looked particularly good himself anyway. However, this game is against Norwich. And with Tsimikas maybe not playing, although I think there's a chance of him playing against Chelsea, there's a chance Amati could play and there's a chance Leicester could get a clean sheet. Of course, I'm not confident at all, but Amati might be a little punt I take to try and get some points that other people may not necessarily go for. We then have in midfield the usual suspects. With Rafinha having the good fixture against Burnley, hopefully Man United can do a number on Wolves, so Greenwood and Fernandes can get points. At the moment, Fernandes has the captaincy armband. And then, of course, Salah has Chelsea just as Trent does. Now, Salah has the vice-captaincy at the moment, but we'll see what I do later on in the game week. But I don't really feel like there's any standout option because Wolves haven't looked terrible in their first 2 game weeks, even if they haven't necessarily picked up the points. And then up front, we still have Antonio and Tony. Antonio with Crystal Palace at home. There's a small part of me that wants to put the captaincy armband on him, but I'm just not sure if I'm willing to take the risk this early in the season. And then we have Tony against Aston Villa away. Tony's underlying stats haven't been terrible, so there's still a little part of me that is thinking about keeping in the side. So far in the last 2 game weeks, he's had 5 shots on goal, which isn't the greatest return, but 4 have come from inside the box. No big chances, which is really disappointing, and he doesn't have much in creativity. So I'm a bit worried about Tony. The underlying stats aren't terrible. For instance, they're just as good as the likes of Mahrez, and not that much worse than Fernandes, but still they're not really good enough because at least those other players have had returns. And of course, the only change to the bench will be to Tsimikas as the first sub, because if he does play, I think out of Tsimikas, White and Obafemi, Tsimikas is probably the player most likely to get some points, but there's not really much to talk about on my bench. I do, however, have 2 transfers which I do need to figure out how to use, and the 2 players I'm most likely to transfer in are what we're going to cover next in the transfer part of this video. So we start off with Ben Rama, who has already had a £0.2 million price increase because of his form. 24 points so far this season from 2 goals and 2 assists. Now the XG, XA and expected points all come from Fantasy Football Hub. If you want access to this sort of data, please do check out the link in the description down below. Again, using that link does support the channel. We have expected goals at 1.13, so he's outperforming that, as well as his expected assists at 0.67. Expected points at 13.2 shows that potentially he could be outperforming his expected stats, and we have to decide whether he is a player that will continue to do so. But if we just look back to Jesse Lingard last season, there was a definite purple patch that went on for a considerable amount of time where he scored a lot of points, and I think that could be the same case with Ben Rama. And personally, I think Ben Rama has a little bit more quality to him. That's just my personal take, although I'll be quite happy for Jesse Lingard to join West Ham. And the next few fixtures do look decent. Crystal Palace and Southampton in the next 2. Man United, not the greatest fixture, but Southampton showed there could be points against Man United. Then Leeds, who will play open football. Potentially West Ham will look to counter. And then also against his old club, Brentford, as the last out the next 5 fixtures. And the thing with Ben Rama is if I bring him in for Mahrez, who is likely the player I would bring him in for, we then have money to upgrade Tony, and the player I'm most likely to upgrade Tony to would be Dominic Calvette Lewin. Now, he comes in at 8.1. He's had a 0.1 increase in his price. He's got 14 points, but his expected points on Fantasy Football Hub is 17.1. So he's actually underperforming slightly. He's got goals of 2. His expected goals at 2.23. And he's got no assists, but expected assists at 0.41. But the thing is, the side look like they're trying to create chances for Dominic Calvette Lewin. Dominic Calvette Lewin has had 9 shots on goal, 6 on target, all from inside the box and 3 big chances in total. So those underlying stats, to me, make him look like a must-have striker right now. The only downside is the fact that Romelu Lukaku has come in game week 2 and put in some incredible underlying stats, which make me think I'm going to have to figure out how to get him in next. He is against Liverpool for his next fixture, but for 90 minutes played, he had 8 shots on goal, 7 from inside the box, 2 big chances. Only 2 shots on target. However, that amount of chances on goal in 1 game is ridiculous. It was against Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal's defenders could deal with him at all. But those underlying stats are fantastic, as well as the fact that he did get 3 key passes and 1 big chance created, which is more than Calvette Lewin, who's had no big chances created. So I am very interested in Lukaku, and if I do get money back on the likes of Mahrez by getting in Ben Rama, then potentially I need to also be looking to get money back somewhere else, so I could look at Lukaku in the future. It could be Dominic Calvette-Lewin comes in for Antonio at some point. It could be I try and get a front three, but that is going to be very difficult with the current setup of my side. So we've got a lot of thinking to do, but right now, Rama is very likely to come in for Mahrez. And then it's really a question of, do I go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin for now, the player I can afford to take over from Tony, or do I hold on to Tony for a bit and see if I can stretch to Lukaku, whose fixtures do get better a bit later on in the season, but the way he played against Arsenal, potentially I think fixtures may not even be a factor. So guys, that is it for this video, and just quickly before we get to the end, just a quick explanation about where I was. I was on holiday last week with the family, and I just wanted to enjoy the holiday. I've been doing this for 6 years, non-stop. Even with holidays, I still managed to get videos out. So I thought, you know what, Johnny, take a break, because you've been doing this for a long time. And also, this channel was always meant to be a way for me to potentially work from home in the future so I could spend more time with the family. But as the kids have been growing up, I've still been spending lots of time doing FPL, and I've not quite reached the heights that I would have hoped to, that I could work from home. So in the future, we're probably going to see this main video done every week, of course. We're hoping to do a final team video before the deadline. I'll try and figure out a time for that. But we're hoping to do this video every Wednesday, releasing it around 2 to 3 o'clock. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and hit that notification bell, and be here every Wednesday to watch the Game Week Team Selection video. Also, feel free to check out the supporters of this channel, Fantasy Football Hub and Fanteam. And if there are other videos in the week, they will be basic talking point videos without as much production value behind them, but hopefully you enjoy those videos too. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.